This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.
Today we have with us my really good friend, Monika, from Sweet Tooth Farm. And I was writing some things about you today, and I just realized, must confess, I guess, that I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
I mean, I didn't for a while. I didn't for a while either. So, I remember when I first changed my name, I had to write it out phonetically. I made like a sign above my desk because it's a tough one.
Yeah.
So if you think of break it down into 3 syllables, it's just Owczarsky.
Owczarsky.
100%. A+. 10 out of 10.
Like, I've known you since like 2016. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever pronounced her last name.
But like, why?
Right?
Who cares?
I think I call you like babe, beautiful, mama,
Neighbor, friend.
neighbor. I only call you Monika when like I want to get like dirt from the city. Then like that's serious.
Or it's like we see each other walking. We'll like yell out of a car.
Yes.
I'll yell your name.
You do that often.
I see you on Ingersoll and you just always look so glamorous.
Thank you.
I want you to feel like a superstar. So
you always make me feel like a superstar. But you're a superstar. Well, you're my really good friend, but we're here to talk about what you do.
I know, we got to stay on topic.
So let's talk about Sweet Tooth Farm.
Yeah.
I just want to know everything, like when you started, how, why.
Oof. I have no formal training in horticulture. So people ask me sometimes, like, you know, I love talking to young people. And in my work now, I talk to a lot of beginning farmers. But they'll ask me what degree I have, et cetera. And I don't have one in horticulture. I did social work. I worked at Child Serve for almost 10 years. And it's kind of a double-edged sword because I say sometimes, oh, I'm an accidental farmer. And then in some ways that is turned into like a slightly condescending phrase. Like, oh, with your accidental little garden, you know, like.
There's nothing accidental about what you do.
Well, I mean, we kind of just continued taking steps towards it, not really even understanding what the end was going to be, if that makes sense. So we moved into the neighborhood in, I think, 2013. My lease was up. We had just gotten engaged, and we really wanted to stay in Des Moines. We're not interested in a suburb. So we looked all over. We looked on the south side, on the east side, and on the north side, and we found one eventually. And it was right next to a pocket park. So I thought, great, that's awesome. It had some swings and a slide. And we lived there for a while, and, you know, lots of people and kids were in the park all the time until they meaning the Parks Department in the city of Des Moines, started taking equipment out, which it was old and like rickety, like it was falling down. Right. I get it, but there wasn't really a plan to replace it, and it was essentially like a litter box. So it had 2 benches and a sand pit.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
Nothing else. So it sucked, and really like the only mechanism the block surrounding it kind of felt like they could do is call the police on people. So it was like literally there was like a group chat where everybody was like, okay, someone's like having a fire. Could we call the fire department? Like it wasn't a great atmosphere. And I will say, you know, we're neighbors, and I do feel like more than any other place I've lived in Des Moines, at least, I know a lot of my neighbors. We're on a first name basis. And so having this clear and present issue with like no resources or mechanisms, and like our only thing was to call the police sucked. And so I just kind of eventually got fed up enough that I was like, somebody will care. Somebody has to care. Like there has to be some municipal employee who gives a shit. And so I just started calling. And like luckily I had at that point just like professionally been able to have experiences where I knew how to like look up and contact, oh, you're the director of the Parks and Rec board, or like, oh, this is your position.
Everybody from the city.
I call people. I will cold call you. I will do it. I don't care. If I have a question and you are employed to help me, I will call you. And eventually I got up to Ben Page, who's the director of Parks and Rec. And so we we did not initially want to start a big garden. We wanted them to put a playground or splash pad in. And they said, best case scenario, about 11 to 13 years, you would have funding again to do that. You can just do it yourself. It'll only be like 50,000, but you have to use this specific playground manufacturer. So maybe you can ask like principal.
To donate money. So
because he was like,
right?
yeah, clearly you don't have 50 G's.
Right. No.
Which like I didn't. But still I wish I did now. But and it was never really meant to be a park. There was a house there until the 70s, and then it was 1971. So they were like, put a park on it. Who cares? So anyway, there is like a somewhat structured process to change use of land, right? Or change use of resources within the city. And what I mean by that is like, you have to have so many like public information meetings. You have to get signatures. Like they have like a checklist of things to where like, okay, if you've satisfied us in these ways, like clearly there's nobody that's like really upset about this. Like it's fine. You're fine. You go the next step. And so we brought 6 options to the Parks and Rec Board of Directors that we worked for like 2 years to come up with. And it was just also a lot of conversations with like the people directly surrounding the park, right? Okay. Because my neighbor on the other side, it's less than a foot. Like kids used to pee on our house. It was never like made to be a park. You know, like in many spaces, like these green areas, they'll have a buffer zone, right? A street or like a field.
An alley, like something that
kids are loud. My kids are loud as hell. I get it. Anyway, so we brought 6 options to the Parks and Rec Board of Directors, and the one that they liked the most, and one was building a house there again. Another was the Parks and Rec Department having a community garden there. And then the last option was just letting a adjacent property owner lease the space and take care of it. And so that's what they decided. So, and then we had to do 2 city council votes before we could even, it's not purchase, it's just a lease.
Yeah, you lease it. Yeah.
So we had quite a minefield to kind of like make our way through to get to the point of even starting a garden. Because at that point it was like sand still. Yeah. Luckily, I'm cool with the Parks and Rec guys, and I just asked them. They were kind of removing some of the sidewalk and some of the infrastructure there. And so I was like, are you guys really busy? Can you like get a truck? Can you get the sand out of here? And they did it for me.
That's awesome.
I don't know if they were supposed to. Like they were supposed to be working there.
But not
we just
doing
added
that.
like one more check thing on your list. So anyway, to backtrack, I promise we'll get to something else.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
To backtrack a little bit, there are a lot of children in our neighborhood who maybe a little less now than before COVID, but kids are around. Kids are out, little ones, and we love it. You can hear kids laughing and playing, and that was no different in 2014. And so
who were
kids
the 2 city councils that gave you the vote?
It was unanimous. It was unanimous. Now I will say, sorry, Bill, I don't like Bill Gray that much, to be honest. I think that when you have power and money and resources and you squander it and you enrich your, allegedly, friends and yourself, I'm not cool with that. But I will say, I will give credit where credit is due. Bill met with me multiple times, and he brought the motion forth. Now, I mean, it's kind of a win-win, right? Like, it doesn't do him out any. And frankly, now I'm paying the Parks Department to like mow their space and take care of it. So like for them, it's this problem area that suddenly now, not only do we not have to worry about, but she's paying us to do it. Yeah. So, then we had to jump through a few more hoops to get insurance because it's still city owned. So we had to match like the city's insurance requirements.
What kind of insurance does a garden take?
Well, not a garden, but like let's say a tree falls down and a city employee has to go to cut the tree down because it's city owned. What if they fall and break their leg? Am I liable for that, for their workers' comp? No, thank you. So it took us a while.
They really make you jump through all the hoops.
It took us almost 8 months.
They cannot make it any more complicated than this.
No, it took us almost 8 months to find insurance. Now, this is specifically because it's a park. It's a little bit different if it's just from City of Des Moines. But again, like all of this kind of like twisting a path we took consistently, there were these roadblocks that I had the privilege of knowing how to do and tackle.
Right.
I think that the path that I took is difficult, and I think there would be significant barriers for someone who wasn't white and a woman that understands sometimes men just have to tell you that they're smarter than you, and then you can sign the lease after. You just have to listen for a second. I don't know. So we got there, and it coincided with the year that I left work when I had Henry, my oldest kiddo, who's 7.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working at Irely Ball at the time. And I would have been netting like $50 after daycare. Like, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
We couldn't, it just was crazy. So I left work, and I mean, I had been working professionally for a long time, and all of a sudden I was just at home alone with like a really stubborn, cranky baby. And I was probably the most lonely and sad I had ever been. And so I started planting a garden. And I've been gardening my whole life, growing things, tinkering outside, growing herbs, etc. And I had raised beds. My yard's pretty small in our actual house. And so that first year I kind of just experimented. We had to bring a lot of compost in because they took a lot of sand out.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like equilibrium, like figuring out, could we actually do this? Like, what is the scale of this? What does this all mean? And then just year after year, I got better and better at it.
And when you say we, it's just you and Renee, your husband.
I mean, like my family
Right.
unit. And I mean,
And like Henry, that is 7.
when I say we, I kind of mean like the royal we. Like that includes Kennedy, Lily, who
Right.
is.
But they just joined you kind of in like the last couple years.
That's true. I mean,
Right.
I will say Kennedy, who's an incredible farmer, an incredible woman. I love you, Kennedy.
Yes, she is.
An incredible farmer. She found me, I think in 2018. We found each other. She was a food corps rep at Moulton and just saw me. She was like, oh, hey, I love your garden. What's up?
That's awesome.
But when I say we, yes, I mean Renee and I, right? But ultimately, there are so many people who, over the years and currently come to things. Tonight, we're doing a hive huddle. We're cooking a lot of meals. Like, there are these people who consistently show up and really don't ask for much, but that moment of connection, that moment of humanity together, when we're doing these things, when we're working outside, when we're making meals, when we're cleaning fridges, whatever, it's kind of like this reciprocity of just care and like human connection. So when I say we, I'm talking about all these people who, like, I see your faces and I feel you in my hearts, but I don't remember. It's like hundreds of people that I am very grateful to kind of like be able to stand upon that work.
Right. So that takes us to like this year, Sweet Tooth Farm. You used to grow to sell in the community.
We used to be like a full
Right?
service. Like
full service. You had the boxes.
we did boxes. We did markets. We had wholesale accounts.
Yep. Oh yeah, you used to plant and sold to restaurants.
Yeah. I mean, I was making money.
Yeah.
Growing vegetables. And I mean, margins are slim. Wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like an expensive hobby. Like I was
very
actually making
expensive.
money. And then in 2021, so we grew from that one small city park to leasing a total of over 2 acres from the city of Des Moines, cumulatively.
2 acres.
Right.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It was. And some of it, to be honest, they lease us these shit places that have no water access. You can't build anything, nothing. I hit a live wire on one. No one could tell me where it was from. Not Mid-American Energy, not City. They were like, "Oop, I don't know. Don't do it again, I guess." It's still there. It's sticking up in the ground. Anyway, so it was like, I often say this about like the teachers at my kids' school, but it's like you're asked to make magic with like crumbs, like nothing. So on one of the big spaces, they literally didn't build a water main down that far. So we use fire hydrants to water gardens. We lease them from DeWine Waterworks at the beginning of the season, and then we are charged a meter. So we're charged for just the water that goes
depending
through it.
on how much
we pay
water
monthly for that.
spend.
So we had to drag hoses like 300 feet every day. So like 2 blocks.
Yeah.
Sucked.
Especially
And
in
Kennedy,
August,
Big Ups,
summer.
was the big one on that space. That was a hard space. And we had another farmer out there too. Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
I just need to ask, the police ever call when you were like watering out of the fire hydrants?
3 times over the years. I mean, I think sometimes people don't understand how our infrastructure works underground, which like valid. And also sometimes I'm wearing like a crop top and boots. Like, who's this chick? Like, what is happening with the wrench? The wrench is like this big. Like, it looks a little, it's a little strange. I would say more than not, people will just talk to me about it. People will be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
Or people will stop in cars and be like, "Are you supposed to be doing that?" I will say too, the Waterworks like hydrant meter case, I've gotten the same one for the last 3 years. It is almost completely broken. It's like an old rusty toolbox with like cracked plastic. It's like, we are a capital city. What is happening? Like, there's not even any type of, Des Moines Waterworks, please rent for me again. I'm not trying to talk shit about you, okay? But like, there's not even like a website to report. I have to like take a picture of the meter and send an email to a person so they can bill me. It's crazy. Anyway, we're releasing. I ramble so much, Laura. I feel like we're on your porch.
No. So, when did this new way of growing the garden and only feeding our community started? I read something on your website, and then I think it's in your Instagram bio too, but I love farm to the table for the rest of us, growing in the city for good. And that last one is fresh and nutrient-dense food should not be a luxury item. And that hit.
I mean, I believe that in my core. I think when we strip away all of the trappings of our lives, we are animals and we need to eat. And I have luckily been able to shed all of the shit that's put on us from our childhood in the West, right? Like the scarcity mentality that people have to have value or do the right things or be the right kind of way or be the right kind of poor or be the right kind of hungry to like deserve these things. I don't believe that in any capacity. I think we all deserve everything.
Agree.
And I think that it's really magnified when we take a look at produce. And not only produce, but fresh commodities, fresh foods. People say that Iowa grows for the world. We grow very little actual food for human beings. But there is an incredible farming community in Iowa. There are people who are, desperately carving out spaces, literal like soil spaces they can nourish in this monocrop hellscape we live in. So when we were going big, I worked with a lot of them, and I still am friends with them to this day. And but it's really clear that a certain class of person, a certain kind of archetype of person gets a CSA box.
Yes, because they're expensive.
They can be, $600, $700, $800. They're incredible.
But, yes.
And it's like this both and. Like from having my own financials, I get why we want CSA payment in the spring. It is expensive. Starting, like getting a farm up and running on any scale in the spring is expensive. And you don't have income in the winter unless you have massive infrastructure with like greenhouses and a way to grow in the cold. So like I get it. And also many, many, many people can't afford that, right? So like it's not as if people shouldn't have the option to buy CSAs, it's that we should have an and also this option. So like, yeah, if you want to buy a CSA from an incredible farmer with beautiful produce, you should do that. That's great. Totally support our farmers too. Neighbors down the street living in an apartment building who can't have a garden, like they also should get beautiful vegetables. So, it's like, it's hard to explain where it comes from because it comes from like every experience I've had in my life. Like the reason I think these things. But I was talking earlier about like the park and how we first started with the farm. Back before I had my kids, the kids, they would like dump out the trash cans to have goals for soccer. Duh, of course, right? But sometimes
imagination,
right? But sometimes the trash would be everywhere, which whatever. So I would go and like work on picking up the trash. And I have all these memories of the kids asking me like, "Hey, who are you with? Where do you work?" Because I was a white lady picking up trash in their neighborhood, right?
Yes. And
so that really clicked something in me that like I didn't want to be the white lady picking up trash or asking them, I gotta go to bed. It's 11. It's midnight. Could you all please go home, please? I want to be Monika, who they know, who has to like, yeah, oh God, she has to go to work tomorrow. We better stop, scream singing this song. And so I started just trying to be in my own community. So like, I think I started serving breakfast at Seafoam in like 2013, 2014. Cause I was like, yeah, I'm Monika. What's up? I am your neighbor too. Hello. And so that was really good. But also while all of the kind of like bureaucratic and making the calls is happening, I'm also like building strong connections to folks who like food insecurity is not just like a talking point.
No, it's not. It's real.
And I think in like, to be honest, like white liberal circles, a lot of people talk about food insecurity and then like shop at Whole Foods, which isn't wrong. And that's not like a judgment.
Yeah.
But also,
I don't want people to feel judged by it, but
I shop at Whole Foods too. It's great. They have great produce. but
it's not the reality for
the people
everyone.
making decisions about where resources are going, whether that be from a nonprofit or a business or a municipality, shouldn't only be the people who shop at Whole Foods.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like I started moving from just this like ideological food insecurity is bad. Everyone should eat food to being like friends with, in community with a different reality than mine.
Yeah.
And I'm super grateful that I get to be in people's lives who are so different from me, and who honor me and trust me with just their life and friendship and experiences that make my emotional bandwidth richer and greater. Right. So like, and what I mean by that is like, somebody like no bullshitting me saying, oh my God, God damn my whatever, I'm out of money and my husband lost his job. And I mean, these are like normal things that happen to people. People are scared to talk about money. They're scared to talk about class. They're scared to talk about what they can't afford. Anyway, I love poor people. I'm a poor person. I'm a poor kid. I remember getting like a blanket for Christmas. And I think like people are so afraid to talk about class. Among many things people are scared to talk about. But specifically, I'm in terms of like purchase power is I guess what I'm kind of bringing it back to, right? Because like CSA boxes and vegetables and organic foods, et cetera, we place such value on them. And there's people like on the internet making videos about how you should never like eat these foods. They'll give you cancer and they're bad. When for some people, it's their daily reality that's not only all they have access to, but all they can afford.
All they can afford or they're given.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
And so it's like, I feel like we have a big problem in the farming world. So farm to table for the rest of us, it is just straight up not accessible to an entire like income-based class of people. And in a lot of ways, it's racialized too, right?
Yeah.
Which farming and the ways in which our farming industry is built on chattel slavery and still imitates it in many ways in terms of the undocumented folks that are really like held in slavery on farms. And we could go like 4 hours on that podcast. I'm sorry. Let me try to get back on track. Okay. But I've really tried to integrate myself into my own neighborhood so that when I want to do projects like this, not only I can bring them in and talk to them and we can do it together, but I just have I'm so grateful for a richer understanding of the most immediate effects of some of the biggest problems, and my focus being food insecurity. It's not just like an ideological view. Like my friends are hungry folks.
Yeah.
Our
neighborhood.
The kids I care about in our neighborhood are hungry folks. So like any policy, any like thing I would advocate for, I don't really care about messaging or, administrative, bureaucratic, back end stuff. I just care about like the direct material conditions with food of people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
there's a mutual aid package that is on the website. Like people just go and buy it. It's like, and then you
like
just
$10.
put it back in the community.
Mm-hmm. So we have a fund that it goes to.
Okay.
So at this point in the year, I know I got to turn it off. At this point in the year, we've got, fall stuff.
Okay.
But again, we don't do a CSA. We don't do anything. So if people are buying mutual aid shares, and it kind of says this on the website, like farms are not cheap or free.
No, it does.
And so at this point in the year, once we completely close up, it'll just go to the fund to be saved for spring planting, right? To buy seeds and et cetera. Now, in terms of selling, like I am such a rambler. I'm so sorry. I'm like going off on a million. I'm going on like a million tangents. So we were growing. I'm gonna like go way back for a second. Stay with me.
Go for it.
Stay with me.
We're
When we were growing on about 2 acres, on a random Tuesday, I'll never forget. It was in March. A random Tuesday in March in 2021. I got an email from the city that was just like, "Hey, by the way, we're terminating your leases. So thanks." Like no explanation, nothing. That was really hard. 2021 was kind of just like an unhinged summer of rage for me. I was so mad. They wanted to have these spaces available in case someone at some point would like to buy it.
And they still available.
It is unmowed. It is ignored. It is sitting and has been for 2 years. Yeah. It like hurts me to drive by.
I know, I drive by them too.
It hurts me. But we just realized like we lost scale. Like I didn't have enough product to do the CSA, the wholesale, the selling, the markets. And it became quickly in 2022 an expensive hobby. And so we were like, what the hell are we going to do? I don't want to stop. We've got all this stuff. Like we want to do this. And actually Kennedy and I sat down at the end of that year and we were like, best case scenario. Mm-hmm. What would this look like? What could we do? In addition to working to purchase lots to redistribute to people who want a garden, we thought, God, if we could just get paid to grow food to give it away. Mm-hmm. God, that would be amazing. And like, I used to joke with her, like, God, Melinda Gates, like, find me on Instagram. Like, could you just pay me a salary to grow food, please? Thank you. And then we really heard about this thing called LFPA.
Tell me what it is.
Mr. Joseph Robinette Biden in his Build Back Better plan, that big federal legislation. Do you remember that? Yeah. I don't really know anything about it except for this one piece.
For that one piece.
So, organizations, don't kill me if this is totally wrong. Don't quote. You can look this up, right? But from my understanding, as a farmer producer who participates in the program, not an expert, the USDA gave millions of dollars to states so that food hubs, food banks, food nonprofits, people in the food world could purchase food from local producers to give away for free. So that's the program that I've been doing all year. I've been really kind of missing from the internet. I used to like go hard and I would like market all the time.
Well, you needed a break though.
Oh, it's been so nice. But I didn't have to. Right. I didn't have to market. I didn't have to do any farmers markets. I didn't have to do anything because I was able to harvest vegetables, harvest all my produce, photograph, weigh, inventory it, take it, distribute it, push it out to fridges, send an invoice and get paid. Like, it's my wildest dream come true. It's also meant, though, that, like, urgency has gone a little bit, which is hard for me.
Because you thrive on that.
I do thrive on it. And it's like, but also, like, yeah, you know.
You look so much happier, though. And you feel so much happier now that you only feed the community and
it's so much better.
About the fridge, and then you make meals with
it's so much better.
Friends or like community members.
It's so much sweeter. I have the space to be a person. Right. Like, so there's a group of, I mentioned it earlier, but there's a group of farmers in Iowa who are not pieces of shit. Like row crop, MAGA, Fox. Can I swear on this podcast?
Okay.
I'm sorry. Should have passed.
I was going to tell you that. I know
I'm sorry.
No.
But
It's like if we were on my front porch.
Okay. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Okay. We try to have calls here and then just to get together to because a lot of them are out in places that are hostile to them, right? To organic farming, to queer people, to black and brown people. So it's like we try to have these calls here and there, but we literally call it like August Madness. Like when your entire income for the year is based on 2 months and is based on weather and is based on pest pressure and is based on your strength and is based on markets, the weight of that is so heavy, And so it has been such a gift to have that removed because as long as LFPA is funded, we have, a certain amount of funds that we can access to grow produce and give it away, which is frankly all I'm interested in doing. I have really been trying to not have to be a nonprofit. No offense. I am on the board of a nonprofit. I've been the president of a nonprofit, but I think it is very, very, very easy to slide into a place as a nonprofit where you write the policies, right? You buy the handcuffs. You enact the policies. You put your handcuffs on, right? And then you swallow the key. So then when your policy is exacerbating an issue, causing a problem, you say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't do anything. When you bought the handcuffs and put them on yourself, okay? Most of these places, they could change their policies tomorrow. They could get in a boardroom and vote and change their policies tomorrow on a lot of the ways in which the organizational nonprofit structure works. So I have no interest personally in creating that for myself. And between Tito's Vodka giving me money to clean up a garden lot, so it's like full production ready, and the LFPA, I haven't had to at all. So, the mutual aid shares haven't been as big for us just because, I can just take it to fridges. So it's like, and not even have to be on my website. Like I just inventory it and I send it to a Google spreadsheet.
Because you also created the Sweet Tooth Farm fridge.
I did, yeah.
Which sits in our neighborhood. What's the address?
It is 1618 8th Street. No, that's wrong. That's close to my address. No, I always get them wrong. It's 1618 6th Avenue.
6th Avenue. It's
all the numbers swirl around because it's like the exact opposite of my address. And
yes, it's right next to at home. What's it called?
Yes. So Home Inc.
Home Inc.
There's a strip of spots. There's an incredible restaurant, Tapatia 4, I think.
Yeah. The number 4 and Tacos La Familia sits on there too.
Yes, it does.
They're in our neighborhood.
Shout out Ricardo.
Yes. But then
that was in 2020.
Yeah, that was 2020. That was because of the pandemic.
It was.
It was like necessary because almost no one in our neighborhood was able to get help because
places shut down. The places that were the places to go for help shut down. Yeah.
The church. You were serving
school.
Food out of the...
That's what started the fridge.
The church.
So I mentioned CFUM earlier, but it's called Children and Families Urban Movement. And they've been in the neighborhood since like the late 60s, I think, or 70s. I did
not know that.
And the Black Panthers had a little bit to do with their free breakfast and lunch program in Des Moines. So, and that's the place that I said I was serving breakfast at. They do breakfasts, and during the summertime, they do summer programming and lunch. But anyway, they also do supper club. So anyone who can get there physically can come have supper. And that's 5 days a week. Miss Darlena is a lucky to call her an incredible friend, and she's an incredible woman. She also does a lot of work with folks getting out of incarceration. Oh, that's awesome. Anyway, they weren't allowed in their building in March 2020. They said, sorry, it's dangerous. You can't go in. And I mean, people were panicking. I feel like so many of us have we're like in 2023 and it's just like a wall and we don't access those feelings.
It's almost like you don't want to remember.
It was scary and it was terrible.
Right. It was really bad.
But I just thought, no, we're not going to shut down. This can't happen. And so I just started, again, in our neighborhood, we know each other.
Right.
And so I just started calling in any and all favors. Miss Janelle is also a person in the neighborhood who knows everyone and their mom. So between Darlena and Janelle and some other folks, we said, okay, let's go. So we made somewhat of a weekly like menu, and when I say we again, sorry, I'm so notorious for just saying we, but it was kind of like a rolling group of people who we just had like a Google sheet that you could sign up and whatever. And we for almost a month and a half, we made 100 meals a night for 5 days a week. Yeah. It was crazy. And then I don't know if you remember this either.
And you were very pregnant.
I was like almost 9 months. I had my youngest son in April of 2020. It got to the point where I was able to hand it off, which was always the plan. Like I'm not interested in making 100 meals in my kitchen every night. It's not made for that.
You had to do it in your kitchen because the kitchen was closed.
Yeah, we couldn't get in. Now, I will say they did let me use their fridges inside to store food, but they were like, you can go in and out with a mask on. That's it. But you can't cook with people. So again, the plan was always to hand that back. But, I remember doing that in 2020. That was March 2020. And I remember thinking, like, God, groceries would be so much easier. Because I had listened to a couple podcasts and seen a couple things about community fridges really popping up.
Right. Bigger cities.
Yeah, in the Bay, in New York, in Chicago. And I just thought, like, can we do this?
Is that possible?
Is that possible? Well, I wasn't sure.
Because first it started out of your house.
In front of my house.
In front of your house.
In
a little shed out of your house. You couldn't have Christmas lights one winter because you keep...
I was really sad about that, but I did it.
Because it was either the fridge or the Christmas lights in your house.
I blew a fuse. I was like, National Lampoon's Vacation, put my lights up and plugged them in, and I blew a fuse. The fridge won. She won.
The things that you will do for their community are amazing. But you started out of your house, and then everybody that wanted to go grocery shopping could go and drop off.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of infrastructure at first. I didn't really know what I was doing. So a community fridge,
when start something.
Yeah, I mean, a community fridge is really just a community resource that is open 24. Now, I will say some are not open 24 hours at this point. Some are in places like libraries or city halls that the building locks, and for whatever reason, they're not comfortable having it outside.
I mean, it's hard. Winter
it's a lot
time,
harder.
Summer.
We go through. We purchase heaters. We have to build a insulated shelter. It's a lot. For sure. But it also does mean it's 24-hour access.
Right.
So it's kind of a give and take.
I'll make sure that we link all of the community fridges.
Yeah. Because I will say at this point, there are over 80 in the state that we know of. And I will say I organize and manage one fridge. Now, I will say we think with some of the numbers, it's one of the busiest in the state.
I believe that.
Because just usage, it's a clear, visceral, sign of desperation. Yeah. Like, people ask me about the fridges, and they're like, it's so amazing. I wish I didn't have to do this. Now, again, I don't have to do anything. I do it because I love people. But, I don't want to be doing this. I want people to have what they need. It's so fucked. Again, it's a joy to work with so many incredible people I get to organize with, and it gives me strength and calmness knowing oh my God, okay, other people actually care about other human beings.
There's a couple nonprofits or just one that donates and
so Eat Greater Des Moines does food rescue. Food rescue is another one that I could freaking talk to you about for an hour.
3 hours.
But
and you might get us in trouble, so let's not.
I already got fired for United Way.
So Eat Greater, but volunteers have to go do those food rescues. Yeah. So and then bring them back to the fridge.
Yes,
then
that's
somebody also volunteers to clean the fridge.
Yes. And then we also shop every week for the fridge.
So with donations.
So we get donations because it's so busy. And also, food rescue is great, but fresh berries, fresh milk, meats, lunch meats, it's nice to have. So we also do things like we'll stock.
That's what you do on Wednesday nights? You make a bunch of meals?
Wednesday nights we make ready-to-eat meals, right? Okay. Because not everybody has a kitchen.
Right. And then
so
you put
groceries are great, but we make meals. So we usually do, depends what we're making. Zakaria Hill, who's the director of the Supply Hive, and I do these together.
Hi, Zakaria.
Hi, Zakaria. So it just depends on what we're making. If it's more cooking oriented, like if we're actually making things hot from scratch, we maybe do a little less because that's just harder.
Okay.
But if we're doing like wraps or sandwiches, or sometimes we'll do burrito, like things that are assemble line, I'm like
Storage
150, 125, something like that. But we have a great group of people who come, and it's really fun. But yeah, not everyone has a kitchen. So
yeah, and then you still cooking out of the kitchen in our church?
Trinity, Las Americas.
Trinity Church? Yes.
Yeah, they let us use, which is great. It's incredible. Because it's big enough, we can spread out.
Yeah,
we can really get like an assembly line
have a legit
set up.
kitchen set up.
They have a convection oven and like an 8-top stove with a flat top. I mean, it's like legit.
Yeah, they definitely give back a lot to our community as well.
They do. Shout out Pastor Alejandro.
Yeah. So everybody can donate to the fridge.
I mean, I will say,
I'm just kind of letting people know that they should donate to the fridge or any community fridge that is close to you.
Anyone.
Whatever works.
We can put a link. There is a list of the ones we currently know.
Yes.
Heavy on extended stay motels. A lot of families and kids live at extended stay motels.
Right.
So that's been a focus, is to work with like property managers and people there to get them in like the community room at those places. Mm-hmm. Like I said, libraries. There's one like in Milo at a meat locker. I mean, they're like, we're trying to get them everywhere. Just again, with this ultimate understanding that we all deserve this food.
Yes.
Period, point blank. You don't have to be good enough. You don't have to be the right kind of person. You just have to be hungry. And today it's you, and tomorrow it could be me. There's no separation between us. There's no one's saving anyone.
Right.
We're doing a reciprocal act towards each other because we're neighbors, and your success and health and well-being is mine. Yeah. We all are built on each other, you know? So, anyone can donate at any time. And I will say we're pretty good as it stands. The best thing I can ask for is for you to just build it into your life a little bit. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is like you're ordering groceries or you're buying groceries or whatever, grab an extra gallon of whatever milk you drink, some sliced stuff to make sandwiches, and maybe like a pack of strawberries, and just drop them off. Like it doesn't have to be you do like a haul at Costco and you spend $300 and bring it to the fridge. Right. That's not, I never want that. Well, let's say you do it once a month. You say, okay, I'm gonna do $10.
I love that.
Once a month, and go with my kids and just do a little extra and drop it off. If we have a group of 50 people doing that, that's incredible. Fridges are full. Yeah. So just, I'm not asking people to drop a ton of money, but really like change your schedule, change your heart, and just like, make it a daily thing and not a specialty. Make it just, it's part of my Wednesday. It's not this special volunteer thing I do. It's just like, I love my neighbors. I'm going to bring them food. It doesn't
have to be a thing that you post on Instagram. It just has to come from your heart.
That is, I kind of learned that from these folks who do fridges in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And they are militant about protecting their people. Yeah. They don't even take interviews really. Yeah. So we have a pretty hard rule of no photos.
Yes.
And I'm glad that
you have the rules under there. But I love that you have that. I know you have gotten into a few arguments on the Facebook page, but
that's why
for a good reason.
I don't have to be. That's another reason I'm glad I'm a nonprofit, because I can say, okay, how much did you donate? I will pay you back, and please don't come back. Yeah, I don't care about my Better Business Bureau rating. Give me a 0.
My Yelp review can be 0.
That's right. I don't care.
I've seen, because we live in the neighborhood, and that's our main street. Mm-hmm. I drive around there a lot, but this was one Saturday around the summer, and there was this mom and daughter just kind of grabbing stuff from the fridge. But I don't know, like, how like everybody, the food rescue can be many things, but this lady was walking with her daughter with like a good amount of groceries, and she had flowers. And like, it was so beautiful to see, because she was so happy and with her flowers, but she was also gonna be able to feed her daughter or her family, who knows. And those are like the moments that like I live for in the neighborhood. I say very often that our neighborhood is always alive. And it's in the most beautiful and in the most heartbroken way as well. But the fridge, as hard as it is sometimes to see it, is also like, sorry.
That's okay.
So joyful
to
see what you do and what community does.
I mean,
right?
I feel like I have a million of those. And I don't really talk about them much because they're not always mine to share.
Right.
But like the folks who I see pretty frequently who tell me about, you know, a job they got or a life event or, you know, I said it somewhat facetiously earlier, like joking, but I think really and truly a lot of people who are comfortable don't have the opportunity to really be in community with poor people, with folks who are working multiple jobs, staying on someone's couch. I mean, like you might pass them on the street, but like actually talk with them. And in short ways, those interactions are able to happen where it's like an equalizer and the fridge.
If you open yourself for them as well.
Yeah.
Instead of wanting to be a savior of any kind, and you truly actually care about their needs, they will open up.
100% of the time.
They will ask for help. They will really let you.
And not even that, just be comfortable coming to you.
Right.
Because at a certain level, if something makes you feel too much shame or guilt or just like gross inside, why would you do that to yourself? It would be better to go hungry or go to the gas station and get something for $1. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So my greatest hope is that little girl, instead of like feeling shitty about having to go to a food pantry, I hope she remembers a sunny walk with her mom to get flowers.
I bet you will.
There was something that happened last summer that I still think about sometimes. I did one of the shopping shifts and I was putting berries in, and a lot of the kids come after school.
A lot of kids come after school. Also, the bus stops there. So
I didn't know that.
So the city bus.
It's right outside.
Dart has this, I guess, with Harding, and I don't know, Harding Middle School and a couple other schools. Sorry. I don't know actually how many schools, but they get to take the city bus to school. So Lucanes will take the city bus to school and back. And the bus stops outside La Tapatía. They love it. They think it's the most incredible thing, and they think they're like super independent because they take Dart.
I love it.
I love it for all of them. Almost all of our neighborhood kids that go to Harding do it.
That's great.
But the bus stops outside La Tapatía, which is where the fridge is. Yeah. And I only know that because Luca, when he started at Harding last year, for 6th grade, he asked that we did donations to the fridge more often because there's a kid in the bus that he doesn't know, but he lives in our neighborhood. And every day when they get out of the bus, the first thing he does is goes into the fridge. Then we started giving donations a little bit more. And then he got to pick what. Yeah. Stuff, whatever he wanted to take. So now a lot of the kids, because there's more kids that go to Harding now.
Yeah. There is such a great need. People, I think we don't talk about these things. And so it's like, I think even when we're as adults in the same room, like we don't know who has crippling medical debt, who has a bankruptcy, there are serious things that make food a luxury item. It's like, you know, I could just talk about vegetables all day, but like why is food a luxury item in so many ways? So I really try to like hold on to that. But I remember I was filling the fridge and this little girl ran up after school and she was so excited. It was her sister's birthday. And so she was going to give her sister like fresh berries for her birthday. She was like skipping. It's like this bright ray of sunshine that I hold on to sometimes. I can see how happy she was. 'Cause it's hard. It's like, you know, sometimes with our food rescue and even LFPA filling up, you know, the fridge with fresh produce, there's people waiting.
It's not enough.
There's people waiting in the parking lot. People are struggling so much. Wages have been stagnant for a decade. People are not getting paid enough money. People do not have enough
for anything. Yeah.
And it's like, it's a tender time. It's a very tender time to be a parent.
Yeah.
in, we had over like 50 kids sign up for a cooking class.
Oh yeah, you're
Moulton.
taking this. Tell me all about it. I just
Well,
saw that you were like
oh my God.
cooking with little humans.
I'm probably going over.
Just tell
How
me
long
about
are these
that.
supposed to be?
Just tell me about the cooking class, and then I want to hear a little
Give me
bit
the
about
hook me off the
potatoes,
stage.
and then you and I have another date today. So
Yeah, we
let's
do.
wrap it up. Tell me about the cooking class in Moulton.
Yeah, my kid was really bored at school, and I didn't want to be the white lady who takes her property tax dollars to another school. So I was like, cool,
Easy.
I got to get involved. We're starting a parents group. The first one is coming up, like a parent advocacy group.
That's awesome.
Because I'm sorry, getting one email a month about what's happening in my kid's school is not unreasonable. I got like 4 emails all year last year.
They're almost like they're doing their best too. You said it. Like, I don't think it's teachers.
No.
That whole opposite of that. I think the reason why my kids thrived at Moulton was because the magic and everything that those teachers like made for my kids, like looking at so thrived at that school, even though they had been in other schools before.
Sure. Well, and I think there's such strains and demands placed on teachers,
right?
And they're set up for failure.
Yeah.
But anyway, parents, we also can ask for stuff that we want. So, I was just like, I met with the principal over the summer and I said, listen, I'm not interested in opening and enrolling in somewhere else. But if my kid is bored all the time, he's going to find trouble eventually. Because who wouldn't? I mean, I did.
Right.
But yeah, so he basically was like, if you get certified to be a volunteer or a vendor, you can do whatever you want at this school. So I said, great, Eddie, thank you, but be careful what you say to me.
Because you don't know me.
So yeah, my 7-year-old has been really liking watching Kids Chopped.
It's just like a little cooking show.
It's a cooking challenge show.
Cooking
yes.
challenge.
Yes. Okay. And so he was like, can we do a cooking club where we just cook together and learn how to cook? So I said, sure. So every Tuesday I meet up. We meant to do 10 kids, but so many signed up. We actually have like 18.
That's amazing.
It's a lot.
I know, I bet.
But there's like 50 kids on the wait list.
Wow.
But yeah, yesterday we had a salad tasting bar and we had like 12 to 15 things to go on. We had like feta, we had beets, we had dill, we had green onions, we had green peppers, tomatoes, all of it.
All the things.
And some of these girls, they crushed up their Takis and used them as croutons.
Genius.
Inventive.
Wow.
Chefs.
Next
in the making.
Yes.
And we made shrimp Alfredo. We made like a homemade Alfredo sauce.
That's
and then we made
amazing.
homemade butter and put it on bread.
Yum.
It's chaotic.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
But anyway, yeah. And then he really wants to do some type of like video game club. So I have 2 laptops that were donated. I'm looking for laptops, guys. Okay.
All right.
If any of your job has an old laptop that you'd like to donate, really want some 3rd graders to play Minecraft on it. So
Love it. All right, guys.
I saw it. The one hurdle is just like I have to get everything myself.
Right. That's the way that.
So I literally they got me a cart to pull my crap in because I have to build a kitchen in a classroom.
Yes.
So I have all these induction tops and cookers, and I don't have a sink there. I have to take all the dishes home to wash them.
Then you go.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
But yeah,
That's the beginning of the beginning.
it's
Maybe it'll turn into something else.
It's good. I wish that at Moulton they had a mechanism that was easier for parents to plug into.
Sure.
Like, I don't want parents to have to create things from scratch every year.
Right.
Like, we shouldn't have to create an infrastructure for a parents group every year.
Yeah.
That should exist and be maintained by the school as something that parents could, opt into. But that's another long conversation. I love you, teachers. I'm sorry.
Yes. We're
in a
really,
rough
really
spot.
shout out to Moulton
Shout
and
out.
Harding, our neighborhood schools. We love all the teachers.
Shout out to a couple of my favorite teachers. I love you.
And people that work at the
Admin,
office,
behavioral,
admins, everybody.
The staff, the paraprofessionals.
Anyway, let's
Sorry, I'm so off
let's
topic.
just when is the event that we're gonna go watch the movie? It's tomorrow.
Thursday.
What?
Is that
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Tomorrow's
Okay,
Thursday.
October 7th.
Yeah.
At Riverview Park.
Yeah.
They're gonna be playing Encanto. celebrating Latinx Heritage Month.
Yes.
They're going to have food, activities, and the movie.
I think it's 6 o'clock.
6 to 9. Yes. So we're
Totally
going to be
free.
there.
Yes.
Totally free. We're going to bring our kids. I forgot who the organizer was. I think it's something
I have the flyer on my
to
fridge.
do with Northside School. So shout out to them.
I think it's Northside Community School.
Right.
Like a group.
Yes.
Yeah.
So shout out to them too. But we'll be there with our kids, and hopefully we'll get to see you guys there. This is a huge event.
Yeah. It's going to be really
We're
fun.
trying to make it grow, and we're trying to just hang out and be community together. So hopefully we'll see you guys there.
Yeah. Sorry I rambled so much on a million topics.
If they don't understand, they can ask us. We'll put our emails there. They can always DM us.
I'm used to talking to you for so long.
Right. I know. But I think the thing between you and I, that we're also completely open books. Don't you think?
Yeah.
They can ask us anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they might not like our answers,
Yeah.
but we will answer.
Yeah.
Anything,
Yeah.
pretty much. Anyway, if you want to donate to Sweet Tooth Farm, you can do that.
Buy some groceries.
You can buy groceries for the fridge.
We can link, like I said, we'll link locations.
Yeah, we'll link everything. You can also...
You don't have to go to mine. You can go to whatever one's near you.
It was fridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also
start your own
volunteer on
fridge.
Wednesdays. Yeah,
Start your own fridge.
That's true. That's
DM
true.
me.
Yeah.
What's up?
She will
I'll get you a
guide
fridge.
you and get you a fridge. But
Yes, the Supply Hive, we do hive huddles the first and third Wednesdays of every month. We
Every
make
month.
meals for the fridges and hang out together. We sometimes do COVID packs where we'll make packs with things if you're sick with COVID, or we'll do hygiene packs
love it.
and just get them out to folks who may need it.
Yeah, shout out to the Supply Hive too.
Love you.
Love you guys a lot. All right.
Thanks for
You and I
having
have to
me.
go somewhere else. No, thank you for coming. I can't believe that we haven't done this before, but
I know.
also I've been the worst at recording. That's changing.
That's okay, because you're a
That's
mother
changing.
and you're busy.
That's changing. I
Yeah.
really want to do this.
Good.
All right. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for having me.
This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.